Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including new Model Y deliveries soon, when the new Model Y is coming to the US, Cybertruck discounts, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, the Tesla Model Y has been the best-selling car in the world for a while now, and it's continuing to grow that lead across a number of markets individually. We've also talked quite a bit about how Tesla's largest competition at the moment is Chinese automakers like BYD. With such strong local competition, China has been a relatively tough market for Tesla, but after the end of 2024, we're seeing that Tesla has actually just crossed a huge milestone in that country. The Model Y just officially became the best-selling car in China, having delivered 480,309 units in 2024. Sales grew last year by a modest 5.24% over 2023, from a previous record of 456,394. This is huge news for Tesla and shows that even with such strong competition, they're still an immensely popular option. I imagine we will see this popularity grow even further with the arrival of the brand new Juniper Model Y refresh. While the Model Y has just taken the top spot in China overall, it is worth mentioning that the race between BYD and Tesla is still ongoing in other ways. For example, the Model Y was actually in second place overall until December, where it sat behind a popular BYD sedan. Tesla had a strong finish for the year, selling 61,881 units in December alone, which was enough to push them into the top spot overall. Still, that BYD vehicle remained in second place with 480,025 units sold, only 284 fewer cars than Tesla. Even then, while Tesla may have the best-selling single model, BYD is still beating them in the country overall. This is largely due to the fact that BYD sells so many more models than Tesla, with many of them coming in at significantly lower pricing than anything Tesla offers. In the country overall, BYD maintains an EV market share in China of around 34%. Tesla, by comparison, only has captured around 6%. This isn't to diminish the huge accomplishment here by Tesla for the Model Y, but it is an additional angle on the situation worth sharing. Tesla is making huge strides against BYD across the world and even in their home market, but it will take some time and a lot of effort to truly beat them overall. I can't wait to see the new Model Y refresh get into customers' hands and also to see what impact it has on sales for that car. Speaking of the new Model Y, we're currently getting flashbacks to the launch of the Highland Model 3 in 2023. That's because Tesla has announced this car over in China, and globally, everyone knows about it. However, in the United States and other similar markets, Tesla has not said a word about this new car. As far as the release date for this car in China, reports originally said March, but Tesla is not taking their time at all here. Last week, we got our first photos of the Model Y in Glacier Blue, and at these particular angles, many weren't too pleased with the new design or color. Other angles and videos tend to make it look much more flattering, so ultimately, seeing this car in person will be the true determination. Tesla has definitely leaned in on the Cybercab styling, but they've also put their car quite in line with Chinese competition. There are many reasons for this, but one of the biggest is probably the fact that Tesla simply sells more cars in China than they do in the US and any other market. Tesla sold 480,309 Model Ys in China in 2024. In the US, they sold 372,613 of them. That's still a large number of Model Ys shipping to the US, and then there are more outside of China. But if they had to choose a market to design for the most, it's clearly China. China is the most competitive EV market by far, but I am curious to see how Tesla progresses from here in markets like the United States. Tesla did see a sharp decline in US sales this past year. Although global sales were only slightly under 2023, Tesla saw a 6.6% decline in Model Y sales year over year. 17.4% decline in Model 3 sales, 19.8% decline in Model X sales, and 31.2% decline in Model S sales. Now, there are some important factors to keep in mind for each car. For the Model Y, which declined 6.6%, customers have been anticipating this very refresh. I know that if I was a patient buyer who knew about this, I would simply hold off. Likely, many customers were doing this because of that Model 3 refresh already being out and seeing big improvements. For the Model 3 at a 17.4% decline in the US, that car had production shut down in the US as it ramped back up for that new model, which took some time. For the Model S, the Model 3 actually became quite a bit more enticing and in line with that car's functionality after its refresh. Then for the Model X, many in this price range, and with these options, likely opted for the Cybertruck. Both the Model S and X are starting to feel their age as well, with their refresh being 4 years old at this point. Those are all factors at play, along with increased true competition in the United States, and then of course, there's the elephant in the room, Elon Musk. Like it or not, there are a few studies linking Elon Musk's dislike with Tesla losing sales. Anecdotally, I've seen this sentiment increase a lot, and probably have talked to 50 to 100 people who are particularly in the market for an electric vehicle, but won't buy a Tesla for these reasons. It may not have as big of an impact as some think, but it has an impact nonetheless, regardless of who you agree with there. For the Model Y in particular, though, my hunch is that many people were waiting for this refresh. Throughout this whole year, you could go to a Tesla store and test drive the Model Y, and then test drive the Model 3 with ventilated seats, a rear screen, a much quieter cabin, a better sound system, a smoother ride, and more. It was pretty obvious that waiting a bit would get you all of those features in the larger Model Y package at a similar price. As for production of this car in China, photos and videos of dozens of new Model Ys have been popping up online. Here we can see a carrier truck loaded with new Model Ys, and here's one in gray and another in red. Interestingly, neither appear to have that special launch badge, but these are reportedly headed to Tesla stores for display ahead of the Chinese New Year. Here's a video of the new Model Y loaded up onto multiple carriers, sporting every color that Tesla makes. We can see a number of Quicksilver Model Ys, those same gray and red ones, and the new Glacier Blue. Some of those do have that launch edition badging. Here's another angle of some in Quicksilver, but these don't have that launch badge. One particularly interesting thing to see is that for the new Model Y and Model 3, thanks to an updated front and rear end, it tends to look a bit better in white than it did before. White was Tesla's base color for a long time, so many grew tired of it. However, stealth gray is the new base color, and white is starting to look appealing again to many people. In any case, these Model Ys are being spotted all over China, hinting that Tesla is moving very quickly with production and first deliveries. This would absolutely be nothing new for their Chinese factory, so then it raises the question, when is this coming from Berlin, Texas, and Fremont? Well, over at Giga Berlin, Tesla has reportedly confirmed the start of production of this new Model Y. Compared with the Model 3 refresh, they do need to get both of those factories going to serve European markets simultaneously, and then bring it to the US. At the beginning of the year, it appears that current Model Y production was resuming at Giga Texas, but slowly. At Tesla's Fremont factory, though, production has reportedly been shut down since the end of December, and sources say this is particularly for Model Y refresh upgrades. This is quite a bit different than the Model 3 launch, and indicates that while production may lag in the US, Tesla plans to launch this refreshed Model Y much quicker this time out of Giga Texas and Fremont. This is likely a factor as to why Tesla is now running inventory discounts on Model Ys in the US. Here's a long-range all-wheel drive Model Y marked down $1,920. Here's a Quicksilver Model Y marked down $2,000. And then, of course, if you're looking to buy this, don't forget about Tesla's referral program. If you're looking to buy, you'll get an extra $500 off using a referral link. It's always tough to time a Tesla purchase, but right now is a particular time you may want to wait to buy a Model Y. It appears to be keeping a stock, improves the interior, refreshes the exterior, rides smoother and quieter, has power reclining seats, has a much more repairable hatch, has a drain plug in the front, has a rear screen, has ventilated seats, and more. Sources from Fremont say that release candidates were reaching final stages of production at the end of December, and that true production is likely by the end of March. So we do expect this car to lag, which is why Tesla has not yet announced it, but it should come much earlier than some expect after that Model 3 refresh launch. Either way, I'll be sure to keep you posted. Next up today, the Cybertruck has seen a very interesting launch from Tesla. In just over a year, demand for that truck has shrunk from a car people were willing to pay double price for to a car that is readily available in inventory. The most recent developments there make this truck much more enticing for customers who are already considering it at today's pricing. First, the Cybertruck is seeing inventory discounts for the first time. Most of these discounts appear to be 2024 models and have discounts of around $2,000. Of course, same thing, don't forget to use a referral code too for an extra $1,000 off. That's a pretty big development already, but the other big one comes with unlimited charging. At the end of the year, Tesla was offering free supercharging with Foundation Series Cybertrucks. This replaced the $2,500 credit for Cybertruck PowerShare and comes as part of that $20,000 Foundation Series upgrade that includes FSD and accessories. Lifetime supercharging is a pretty great deal, and Tesla added this to drive sales. Now, however, they have extended this deal through January 31st. They say, quote, customers who purchase a new Cybertruck Foundation Series are eligible for free supercharging during your ownership of the vehicle. Orders must be placed on or after December 27, 2024, and must be delivered by January 31, 2025. Offer is tied to your Tesla account and cannot be transferred to another vehicle, person, or order, even in the case of ownership transfer. One interesting additional note there is, quote, Tesla reserves the right, in its sole discretion, to remove the free supercharging from your vehicle in the event of excess charging or unpaid fees related to supercharging. My guess is that if a customer is charging multiple times a day and constantly powering their home from free supercharging stops, Tesla will put a stop to this. Otherwise, that clause makes this deal pretty odd. Either way, Tesla is still pushing Cybertruck incentives, and it'll be very interesting to see where things go from here. We should see the rear-wheel drive Cybertruck this year at just over $60,000, and then hopefully they can bring down production cost to lower all trims at least a little closer to originally announced pricing that brought in 2 million pre-orders. Next up today, Tesla's FSD software is receiving an update that will hopefully address some user concerns regarding the system's highway handling. When driving on these roads, many customers feel that the software is far too conservative and inconsistent with its speed. No matter what speed you select for the car, it often feels like it drives much slower than it should. Even if you manually speed the car up, it will always drop back down to whatever its own preferred speed would be. A senior software engineer on Tesla's AI team gave a bit of an explanation behind the settings that create this issue and what will be changing. Customers will usually see the quote set speed option and assume that the car will match whatever you put in. He asserts that this terminology is not accurate and is merely a holdover from classic cruise control systems. While you may want your car to drive faster, FSD is constantly assessing the situation and will pick a speed to match the current environment. This is better reflected by a max speed option, which is where you tell the car the maximum speed that you want it to travel. It isn't going to ramp up to that speed super often, but this terminology better reflects how the system actually works. FSD will take into account broadly how you want it to drive via things like driving style and this maximum speed setting, but above all, it is going to rely on its own judgment to drive in the safest way possible. Tesla is aware of driver complaints regarding this vehicle's yo-yoing in speed while on the highway, and they're working to fix and address that. Customers still won't truly be able to set a specific driving speed for their full FSD system in the car, but this update will hopefully help to keep these cars moving at more consistent speeds. This update will partially rely on maintaining follow distance with the car in front of it to help maintain speed. This isn't a huge problem for a lot of people, but in order to make FSD truly thrive, every aspect of the driving experience has to be worked on and refined. It's interesting to see all of the things that have to be considered when building something like an autonomous driving system, and this is an angle I've definitely noticed. It's definitely odd that even when no one's in front of me in the carpool lane or somewhere like that, the system is driving at different speeds at different times. Now it seems like at least some of these improvements are making their way to the latest update of version 12.6.1 for all Hardware 3, Model 3, and Y owners. Previously, this update was only available on the Model S and X, but now all of their mainstream vehicles have access to this latest improvement. Version 12.6 includes a bunch of updates to things like end-to-end on highways, improved city streets behavior, as well as smoother and more accurate tracking. This is a huge improvement for Hardware 3 equipped vehicles, who have been a few updates behind their more powerful Hardware 4 cars. Those vehicles are currently on version 13, which has seen some big improvements on lane selection and overall decision making. It's frustrating to many that their older vehicles are perpetually behind when it comes to FSD updates at this point, but it's great that Tesla is still putting in the work to ensure these systems are as backwards compatible as possible. I'm excited to see the future of these FSD updates and how much it will improve in the coming months. Next up today, we've speculated for a while that Tesla has been working on implementing an advanced AI voice assistant into their vehicles. Current Tesla vehicles already have voice controls that can actually do a lot of different things, but it relies on a long list of specific commands in order to perform those tasks, and in most vehicles won't talk back to you. Some vehicles have received an update recently where it will actually say hello back to you, but most do not have this feature. This voice command system is rudimentary in a lot of ways and is more akin to something like Amazon's Alexa or Apple's Siri in terms of functionality, but technically a little less. Recent code additions have led some people to think that Tesla may be implementing an AI-powered voice assistant very soon, and now we have word that this may actually be the case. During a recent live stream on X, Elon Musk fielded a viewer question around future AI implementation in their vehicles. He said, quote, "Grok in Teslas is coming soon, so you will just be able to talk to your Tesla and ask for anything. It seems instead of a series of pre-scripted commands, you will eventually be able to talk to your car using natural language that it will understand and act on. We don't know exactly what specific new features may come to Teslas in this vein, but it will likely share a lot of the functionality of the standalone Grok app as well. xAI just released a standalone app version of this AI, so having it in your Tesla means that you can likely integrate these two systems together across your whole life. AI is a central part of Elon's plans for all of his companies in the future, so it's exciting to see that functionality coming over to their cars. We don't know when this will be arriving, but given the recent explosive growth in AI technology, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it very soon. One particular example I like to give of why this could be cool is that 1, you can simply talk to your car and ask it questions about anything going on in the world, but 2, you could probably route much better. Instead of getting into your car and manually inputting every destination you need to go to, you could instead say, hey, I want to go to here, I want to stop here on the way, I want to arrive with this charge percentage, and I want to charge at this specific charger because I like it. And then it will route all of that for you. That's one of those AI use cases that is better than any other input device we have today. Last up today, some updates from other automakers. Honda has just given us another look at their exciting Zero Series concept vehicles at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, also known as CES. Honda first announced these next-generation electric vehicles last year, but now alongside these newest prototypes, the automaker has announced that they will begin production in early 2026. The first of which will be their all-electric crossover SUV in the first half of the year, followed by their saloon sedan in the back half. Both of these cars have very unique designs that, if the final cars look anything like this, should give them a very distinct look and personality on the road. However, I extremely doubt that we will see these cars in this fashion out on the road. We don't have a ton of information on the specs of these vehicles yet, other than the fact that they'll offer steer-by-wire controls. This was a huge innovation with the Cybertruck, and it's great to see it appearing on more consumer vehicles. Honda is targeting at least a 300-mile battery pack on these cars, which is pretty standard for new electric vehicles at this point. We'll have to see what changes will come to these cars before they reach production, but they still give us an insight into the futuristic design that Honda appears to be striving for. I really hope that we do see these vehicles out on the road in 2026, but we'll see. I think we'll probably see some version of these cars out on the road, but they'll be much simpler. The Tesla Supercharger has been one of the biggest incentives for consumers to buy an EV for a long time now, and it's been a very exciting thing to see other automakers gaining access. Mercedes-Benz and VW are two of the latest legacy automakers to announce that their EVs will soon be able to charge at Tesla Superchargers. Mercedes-Benz recently announced that their EVs will be able to charge at over 20,000 Tesla Superchargers starting in February. It actually sounds like owners will have to physically bring in their eligible EV to an authorized dealer that will manually install a software update to give drivers access to the network. That definitely showcases the difference between an older platform versus one that can be over-the-air software updated. Tesla Superchargers will be integrated into their navigation systems, and customers will be able to navigate with these charge stops integrated into their route with transparent charge times displayed. While Mercedes will start incorporating native NACS ports into their vehicles starting this year, for existing vehicles they will be offering an adapter at $185. That will be available sometime in Q1. VW, on the other hand, will be gaining access to the Supercharger network starting in June. This partnership was mentioned offhandedly by the company's PR director and isn't officially listed on Tesla's dedicated NACS page alongside other announced partnerships, so there isn't much available information here. It seems like VW is waiting on final production of their own adapter before their customers will gain access to the network. The Supercharger network is a remarkable bit of infrastructure, especially in North America, and as it expands further and more automakers gain access, it will make EVs across the board even more appealing. In a huge milestone in the path towards full electrification, Ford made history when the Mustang Mach-E actually outsold all of their gas-powered Mustangs in 2024 combined. Ford's EV sales have been growing substantially over the last few years, with 2024 having seen record sales for every one of their electric models. The Mach-E had its best sales quarter ever in Q4 of last year, having sold a record-breaking 16,199 units. That brought their total sales numbers up to 51,745 for the year, which made it the second best-selling electric SUV in the nation, behind only the Model Y. Year over year, this car's sales jumped by 35.6% in Q4 and 26.9% for the year as a whole. As I mentioned, what is particularly impressive about this year is that the Mach-E actually outsold all of the gas-powered versions of the Mustang. The Mustang is one of Ford's most iconic vehicles, and to see an electric variant surpass its legacy gas version is pretty amazing to see. For comparison, all of the gas-powered versions of that car only sold a cumulative 44,003 units. Ford still has a long ways to go on their EV ambitions, but this milestone is a huge sign of the overall shift towards full electrification. Although it is tough to directly compare these cars since the Ford Mustang Mach-E is a crossover SUV. This is hopefully a big sign for Ford to continue expanding and growing their EV production, however, as customers are clearly interested in what they have to offer. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see what to expect for a Model S refresh, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.